Welcome to Evolve, Mastery for Leading a New World, with CEO and award-winning author Yvette Bethel. This podcast is dedicated to supporting leaders with a variety of solutions to build trust, inspire authentic change, and improve morale within your organization. Learn how to grow your people, build your culture, and transform your results. Welcome to Evolve, Mastery for Leading a New World. I'm your host, Yvette Bethel, and I thank you for joining me for this episode called Perceiving Your Performance Accurately. As a leader, it's important to be able to reflect on your performance from multiple perspectives. From an individual perspective, your performance is important because it impacts you and your tenure in your role or with your employer. For managers, a second consideration is that your performance includes both technical and leadership skills. Both these skills impact you and your team, so you should be able to attune to both your developmental needs and the proficiency levels of individuals on your team. As an executive, you should understand how well your team works together because a lack of trust among persons at higher levels within the organization can contribute to silos. An appreciation for the cohesiveness of your team is essential because there are instances where individuals within the team work very well together, but they become difficult to work with when collaboration with other teams is necessary. Perceiving your own performance as a leader involves understanding your personal strengths and weaknesses and how they impact both your performance and those of your team. Your ability to perceive your performance without too many distortions is critical to the sustainable performance of your team. When self-awareness and team attunement are deficient, leaders can face risks like low employee morale and deficiencies in customer care. If you're not aware of how you're perceived, you can be blindsided by someone being promoted into a position you applied for, or you could be surprised by your own termination. At the team level, leaders who are not self-aware can contribute to the creation of a team culture that causes performance levels that do not express the full potential of the team, and by extension, they do not represent the best possible results. At the outset, perceiving yourself clearly requires being open to perceiving beyond the veil created by your unique way of seeing the world. Without this, observations by others or your own self-assessments can be rejected, and team transformation would be difficult. Here are 4 recommendations you can use to perceive your performance gaps clearly. Firstly, be clear about what success means. If an expectation of an employee is to collaborate with others, they can give the appearance of collaboration by going through the motions. If this is what the leader wants to see and does not seek a deeper understanding of quality interaction, the leader can conclude the objective of collaboration was successful. Defining success should involve outlining clear success factors. So in a case like this, successful collaboration can be defined as building trust-based relationships where there's self-initiated action between employees and conversations that are characterized by respect, empathy, and genuine caring about each other's goals. There are climate assessments that can measure some of these characteristics and help you read between the lines. Secondly, understand your motives. Are you motivated based on your own personal agenda? Are you inspired by the goals of the team, or both? If both, understand if you're leaning toward one end of the spectrum or the other. Thirdly, understand the motives of your reporting officer. Sometimes reporting officers are unwilling or unable to tell you the truth about your performance. This can be due to an unwillingness to confront because you were never told the truth or because your reporting officer has a deficiency related to confrontation. This means, as a leader, you can be rewarded for skills and behaviors annually that you may not have developed. This can happen because of office politics. Fourthly, understand how you affect your team. Do your coworkers find you difficult to work with or easy to approach? Do they perceive you as being competent or not? Does your team think you will represent them effectively with your supervisors or not? If there is a negative response to any or all of these questions, it's important to take time to repair work relationships, especially if your reactions are causing persons not to give you the kind of information you need to make optimal decisions. If there's fear resident within your team, your coworkers will say what you or your reporting officers want to hear. Companies grow as much as their leaders allow them to. This is because the quality of decisions made by leaders fall within the spectrum between empowerment and suffocation. And if leaders are highly controlling and unaware of their impact on others, this can directly impact the performance of individual leaders and their teams. When a leader is aware of their true value to the organization, this awareness can empower that leader to add more value or consider a career change. When leaders remain in the dark about their below standard performance, it puts the organization in a position where there's low potential for improvement of results. As obvious as this sounds, I come across many instances where leaders are unaware of how their performance is actually viewed. There is the rating that shows up on the performance assessment, and then there are the true unwritten evaluations that never get recorded or communicated until or unless there's a change in leadership. Top performing leaders not only take their own development in hand, they conscientiously identify their own performance gaps and the performance gaps of their teams. They are not afraid to receive feedback, and they're willing to contribute to the development of their teams through stretch assignments, coaching, and other developmental activities. Thank you for joining me at Evolve, Mastery for Leading a New World. Join me this and every Monday for a new episode. Remember, change is always constant, so always continue to evolve. Executive whistleblowers can be especially vulnerable to an onslaught of attacks designed to localize power among a few and discredit the vocal executive in an attempt to shut down any potential for future overt disagreement. Legislators and regulators have low tolerance for the anything goes attitude of large institutions that should be protecting their clients. The next step is for the boards in situations like this to define the culture it wants to create and identify the new competencies a CEO should exhibit in order to drive. The next step is for boards in situations like this to define the culture it wants and to create and identify new competencies a CEO should exhibit in order to turn around and restore confidence in the bank. Ultimately, creating shareholder value drove the fraudulent practices. Now, other stakeholders need to be equally considered, namely employees and clients, who in this case have suffered because of unethical practices. In a turnaround situation like this, employees need to become a higher priority because they are the persons who will help rebuild the brand, which is tied to confidence in the organization. While training in ethics is clearly necessary, it should not be the first step. Instead, a deeper dive into leadership, core values, formal and informal reward systems, and strategic imperatives need to happen. This is hard to achieve with a CEO who has blamed the staff for the company's missteps. So to answer the question, is it the culture or employees? Let me put it this way. Leaders are the primary architects of culture. They decide which behaviors are accepted and which ones are not, which rules get followed and which ones do not, or who gets rewarded and who does not. These practices form and sustain the norms within a culture and consequently cause employees to do what they do in a certain way. Thank you for joining me at Evolve, Mastery for Leading a New World. I invite you to join me this and every Monday for a new episode. In the meantime, remember, always continue to evolve.
Thanks for listening to Evolve, Mastery for Leading a New World. Visit YvetteBethel.com to learn more about Yvette's leadership programs and to download her free gift, Success Tips for Igniting Your Career.